together at these regional levels, and maybe someday we'll have, but the power still stays where we live and have these face-to-face discussions. That's the beginning of a really interesting model, right? It's not just to network, right? So for me, if the goal is to create this society where we have power, all of us together at this level, a network is actually part of the strategy to get there. So that's why I think it's cool you're doing that here. And that's not actually happening in a lot of regions. Like the West Coast did that to do the general strike in the courts, but they haven't actually done that more than that. And that's pretty cool that they can do that, where they coordinated, but they kept the power at each GA. That's part of the politics of it. So I think I'd like to, I'll stop. And for us to talk about, okay, if these are our goals to transform, replace the politics that denies us our whole world, replace the economic system that denies us our whole world, replace the types of relationships, gender and race and ableism and ageism and all these other things that deny us the whole world and who we want to be, all the things that destroy the natural world, how do we actually continue to build out and expand and cultivate the structures as part of what we do and see those as actually what we're doing while we're maybe protesting things? How do we do that more creatively? What are interesting strategies to do that that actually highlight? And I actually think that answers a lot of the questions that people keep having of like, how do we get more people into Occupy? I'm like, why did we all come here? We came here because we were all doing it together and so you can't just go like, here, come into our Occupy. It's actually about those folks that decided to do the cigarette working group. Like I walked by them and I'm like, oh boy, I've been doing collectives for years. I could so tell them how to do this better, even though I don't smoke. But I'm like, but them trying to figure it out themselves for a week, like the food people at Occupy Wall Street were so disorganized the first 3 days. They'd never done collective food before. And after 4 days, 5 days, one of them got up at the General Assembly and was like, we have a brilliant idea. We'll serve breakfast at breakfast time, lunch at lunchtime, and we're not going to do food 24 hours because we're tired. And I was like, but for them, that was so, if like any of us had gone up to them that had done collect like Food Not Bombs and stuff and just said, might not want to do food 24 hours a day, pretty going to wear you out after a while. That would have not. Then what was powerful, right? It's about us self-organizing and self-managing and learning it ourselves. So how do we actually structure that into our strategy? And now I want to just end on not everybody may have the same like goals as me. So I also would like, whatever, I guess I'd want us to think big, right? What is our dream for what we want? And then to try to figure out what will we do to get there? And what creative ways and how can we do that in interesting ways that point to our politics? And with one more example, because I used housing at the beginning, some friends of mine in Canada about 8 years ago in Toronto, there's really good articles about this if you want, who are also wanting to get housing and private property. They did a campaign called Use It or Lose It, where they tried to pass a resolution through the entire city of Toronto that said if you own a private piece of property and you haven't used it within a year, it's the commons, it's everybody. And they didn't pass the resolution, because probably that would be really hard. But the campaign itself was just the word use it or lose it was such an interesting framing for them to get at, we're against private property. We think everyone should have housing. So even the way we think to frame what we're asking for is really powerful. And I actually hope that people pick that. I really want to pick that campaign if I get and try it, and not even maybe try and get a city to pass resolutions, but maybe we just talk about why do people get to keep housing empty for years and years and years when they don't use it? Like, what does that make sense? I think that's a very powerful phrase. But we don't do that with Occupy a lot of times. We have, the earlier workshop just had a bunch of slogans where we say a lot of slogans, and I think we say things, but we don't really think. I really like the workshop before. We don't really think about, and so even thinking about what we want in terms of our strategizing about what we say and what our propaganda is, etc., is really, really critical. And the only reason I'm doing this and hammering this home is because I really don't think this window is going to shut down again, and I really, really want to see the world on the other side of it. I think that's what I like the idea that my Occupy and other Occupies aren't going to be here. Just, I'm trying to brace myself for how depressed it's going to be, not to have like, no, but it is a really, no, but I mean, it's going to be really intense to be like, where do you go after it? And as an anarchist, I am involved in all sorts of collective projects, so I know I'll have lots of places to go, but not a place where there's all sorts of other people who aren't anarchists. And that's been so much more profound to me. And that's going to feel really awful. And when we got evicted, a guy who's never been involved in this before, he came to 1J, he's quite old and he lives by himself, and he came to 1J and he just said, I feel like I'm in exile since our camp. I'm so depressed. I feel so alone in the world. And we have to know when we come out on this other side that we still have each other, but we have each other in a different way than we had each other. We were actually getting to the side that no one gets to feel like they're in exile anymore. That we make the world our own. So that's why I'm really okay, this is really important to think strategically, because maybe we'll get more than we actually ever thought we would. Maybe we'll be asking for, Congress to be polite for us, which I could care less about, and we'll come out with like a whole self-governed, self-managed, non-capitalist world, then that would be great. But whatever people want is what we should try to come out with. So, okay. So it's, I always talk too long, 6:15. I want to repeat afterwards, I made posters from New York City and little flyers. You can hand out your occupies. They're meant to be distributed everywhere. I'll come up and I'll tell you where to get more, but take them back to your occupies. And, okay, so maybe we'll start out with, because I think we don't have much time because there's dinner. Why don't we start off with, for like, I love doing popcorn style, because then a lot of people get to talk. Does people know what that is? Popcorn style is, you'd be like, end to hierarchy.
Land conservation.
Yeah, land conservation. Okay, so for 5 minutes or so, or 10, why don't people just throw out just words about what if you could have, what would you want to see on the other side? Like if this was your dream to decide what would happen when Occupy succeeds, or on the other side of the space of possibility, what would it be? Just say it, just a word.
Free school.
Egalitarianism.
Equality.
Say it really loud.
Equality.
Sustainability.
Outlaw foreclosure. Peace.
Arts everywhere.
Real rainbow.
Humans are humans.
People in control of their own lives.
No borders.
Free birth control.
No more fractional reserve banking.
No more banking.
Legalize organic living.
Healthcare for everybody.
Free healthcare.
Free healthcare.
Never stop learning.
Other people that haven't said something?
Free information.
No police.
Nobody left behind.
Homes for everybody.
Free childcare.
Everywhere is a home.
Healthy relationships.
CCP provided for.
Camaraderie.
Place where reporting a war crime isn't a crime. End starvation. Embrace diversity, eliminate inequality.
Well, folks, especially if you want to study, you don't have to, but just go ahead.
So a paradigm shift that brings us back into like the cycles of nature, into monocultures and GMOs. And all this by the technological evolution that we're straight into right here.
State decision making.
Yeah.
A system where everyone is heard.
Faith in each other.
No more apathy.
Yeah, that's great. Wow, we dream big, we'll get really much closer.
Innovative ideas that don't profit.
Human birdlings.
That's the spirit.
Birdlings.
Flying cars and moving sidewalks.
How many, what do you have to, what's your goal? Can you read it? You want to read your shy? You're not shy.
The OE was like
No war. Anyone else?
Remembering kids have things that are just as valuable to not more so.
Wilderness forever.
Okay, we didn't hear anyone say luxury development, lots of police throwing people in jail, people going hungry, other things. No, I actually think.
we already have.
Yeah. But I actually think this is why the GA is powerful, is because when you get a group of people together, you don't always get your way, and you don't, like, I actually am not a big fan of, like, always having consensus. Sometimes we vote in our GA, because when you get lots of people, the bigger this gets, is it always about me getting my way? Sometimes I don't even care about things. Other times I do. You know, when we were going to get evicted, we all had to consent on that. When it's about whether the food committee should be able to, like, move their tent 3 feet, I didn't even care, you know, whatever. Or I did. I cared because they cared, but I didn't care if I got my way and whether it moved to where I thought. So, but at any rate, what's interesting about a GA, I think, or these spaces is when you get lots of people together, They always tell us we're too stupid, we're too lazy, we don't know what we want, we don't know how to think about, we don't know. And you never ever, you go from I've done so much of this, I love this kind of politics, where you get people together in your neighborhood or street or park, and every time I've ever done this over the years, you ask people what they want. No one ever wants all the things, and it's not because we already have them. It's because, like, we all want enough to eat. We all want to feel loved. We all want, we all want to be able to be art, to do what we're passionate. I just don't think most humans, and so partially it's the structures of power. I really want to emphasize that. I think that doesn't get talked about. There's structures of power that you can have all sorts of nice people in, and it doesn't matter because they're structurally, capitalism is structurally a system of equality. You cannot have equality with and I would actually argue you can't do that with under systems of policing. It's structurally meant to have a form of domination. Governments that are hierarchical above people are structured so some people get to decide for other people, and they can be nicer versions of that, but it still leaves out our voices. And when you hear all the voices, we actually all want kind of everything for everyone in really humane, loving, wonderful, dignified ways. So I always find that really profound. So that's what people want. So, okay, so let's just spend, now we have about, 6:15, we can just go for a half hour and then stop whenever people are hungry or want to. I actually want to have people talk about how they, go ahead.
Actually, dinner can be served after this. We're in charge.
Okay. Okay. Well, actually, let's stop and actually applaud everyone so far who's done a shift on any. Mars keeps repeating this, and I need to do it too. Is sign up for something. I'm going to go help with dinner after. So sign up for something, and I actually just want to thank everybody. Like, it isn't just that the things happen during this specific time period. I can't actually. Coming from the hardcore northeast New England, nobody ever meets outside. I was like, where are we going? We're going outside. I was like, the work that goes into this. I'm like, what? Where's the building? Where's the rundown? Like abandoned building we're meeting in. Okay. So I actually like people to maybe try to really think, and I think a really interesting way to do this. I think a lot of us think better when we have time to write stuff down. I should have thought to hand up paper. But maybe we could just take a couple minutes and think, and then we can. And just stop and everybody be quiet and think for a minute or two, including me, and just then come back with ideas about if that's the goal, what would kind of be a way to strategize toward doing that? And the difference again between like a goal or and I like the word aspirations or ideals. It's like, what do you envision? What do you want? And then for me, I'm like, okay, what's a strategy, a plan to think about moving toward that, even if you don't succeed? And then the last question is, what tactics make sense based on that strategy? Right? Because there are actually 3 different levels of things, and I think we do them the opposite. Someone said this the other day to me. They're like, it's weird that the whole movement is named after a tactic. And actually, that was like, I was like, whoa, that's whoa. Okay. But for me, I understand Occupy as this existential cry against enclosure. So for me, I've been looking at it as Occupy is getting at this idea that the world should be our commons again. But then I thought that's actually right. It's actually people think about it as a tactic, and that's a problem. Why? So everyone in the spring wants to take over buildings. Why? What are we going to do there? Why do we want to, like I was in New York when they took over Zuccotti on the 6th anniversary, and I thought it was kind of ridiculous. I'm like, why Zuccotti again and again and again? Like, maybe maybe we need to think about something else that would be, and then unfortunately, because a black young man was shot because he walked through a upscale neighborhood in Florida, people in New York decided to occupy something else the next night, and it's a shame that it takes people being murdered just because we're walking down the street. But there's a way in which us thinking about even why we're occupying, like why, what's the specific space, why? I just think we need to be more asking ourselves those questions. Okay, so I'm going to stop. Can everyone take a couple minutes and just think about if you have a goal, maybe come up with a strategy about what you want to think next in the next few months, about what kind of strategy, name your goal and then what kind of strategy you might want to think to get there. And go ahead. Before we do that.
I have extra paper.
Okay, great, thank you.
If anyone wants it.
Thank you. Okay. Now we'll just take a couple minutes and do that. Oh, we have paper. Why didn't I think to ask? I'm so stupid. Okay. I haven't been talking for a week. Does anyone want paper?
Learned a new sign. What, in the last workshop? That's so stupid.
Oh, okay. I'm not stupid, but I'm stupid because I'm not sleeping. Is what I am. I'm not, but I am stupid. Personally, I am stupid not to sleep.
Anyone need paper?
Huh?
I guess you get to keep it.
Mars, should I ask anybody about this issue since I'm late?
Could anyone who's uncomfortable with being on video
Let us know or
move
get.
around behind? person who's videotaping?
Of course, there's more than one, but I'm busy he's videoing too. That was why it was okay for me to. Thank you, Lars. Avoid shooting you.
No, not avoiding.
No, I should avoid shooting you. No? Okay.
For what?
Oh, thank you. Myron, you got the writing list for me?
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering if I might be able to like, credit you guys for pictures and stuff. Like I'm doing armor speaking of the only reason I started recording on it is I go this morning. Because I just want to, because I ended up helping a lot. I ended up helping a lot with like the parking, and I'm taking shifts and stuff, so I'm not really able to be as active. I'm in Facebook. That's my main.
I guess I'll turn this thing off. What's happening right now?
Just everybody writing down ideas for strategically achieving the goals that we all just told each other about.
Okay. I don't know, because I was just focused on trying to figure out if I could ask her a question, aiming the camera and getting it, the tripods. I'm just checking what's going on. I'm thank you. I was really tired and sleepy, and I wrote it earlier. Tired, sleepy, and hungry earlier. Sorry. You need me to get out of the way? Sorry, I blocked you in. Ooh, I can move up now. I guess, right? If you want to. Unless you think someone's returning to that chair.
I've actually been thinking a lot lately about money and how to, reading on this mainly, but, how to...
I wanted to ask her, but it's a good thing I didn't break in on her what she was doing.
Or at least to, foster exchanges based on community.
Are they just daddy long legs? I think so.
Right.
No. I don't know, they just freak me out. I've seen those. I've seen them, but I don't want to see the other kind.
Well,
I'm going
I
to
guess
turn this off. It's
also
just
that
break
all
time.
communities that actually function that way are inevitably small, and when you're formally recognized as a city, it happens.
I just figured that I'm going to lose light if I didn't start doing this. Instead of waiting for him.
That unit is needed.